fuck is that about?
He signaled the ranger.
I did it! You gotta believe me, I did it!
When they were talking, he mouthed the words, "Help us."
You fucking liar! I didn't say
Would you shut the hell up?
Hey! You stop it! What the fuck is your problem? God.
So the 90s were the rise of the big indie film, if that makes any sense. These were movies that in some cases actually became bigger than big box office films. And it was a kind of a crazy time to be getting into movies, because you hear about these movies from your local Kevin Smiths at the local video store. And yeah, sure, that dude probably hasn't seen his own penis in years, but he definitely knew his movies. And it was a time when it was completely normal for a 25-year-old man to recommend Requiem for a Dream to a 13-year-old boy. But don't worry, I never got in anyone's van or anything like that. But it's cool to hear about these under-the-radar movies that most people in a small town weren't watching or even aware of. You know, the kind of movies that weren't viewed by the normal everyday Joe. Also, when I got old enough to start renting my own movies, it was really sweet getting to check out all these sort of like off-brand movies that Kevin Smiths in my town were recommending to me. It was very much like discovering the alternative music movement of the 80s. And yes, I kinda do like the Smiths, okay? But there was so much to check out, and I sort of had an addiction to movies like From Dusk Till Dawn for a while, because they are typically better written, more violent, with better performances, and cinematography than most of what was coming out of Hollywood at the time. Classics like Fight Club, American History X, Trainspotting, Locked, Stocked, and Two Smoking Barrels, Memento, and many, many more. I mean, IFC basically created a channel because of this era in film history. One last thing on indie films I've always appreciated is the characters they bring to life. The main characters of this story, Seth and Richard Greco, make you realize that Hollywood doesn't really make many movies like this. I don't see that changing anytime soon, even though Hollywood is really struggling right now. It really makes you appreciate the movie we're going to talk about today, From Dusk Till Dawn, directed by indie legend Robert Rodriguez. With Tarantino's script and Rodriguez's direction, they created some great characters, especially the two main characters, the Gecko brothers. These brothers are not anti-heroes, they are straight up villains, which was a nice change of pace from what you would normally see in a film. Even if you had this kind of character in a Hollywood movie, he was always like a scoundrel who was like a good guy at heart. And I really don't think that's true for these guys. I don't think these multi-murderers have a softy gooey center. But even without them being more immoral in any way, they're incredibly interesting and weirdly likable. And that's because of the strength of the script and the perfectly cast George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino.
Come on in, pussy lovers!
But as well written as this movie is, it does take a pretty hard turn to like some really, really cheesy kind of a second half, which kind of serves as a tribute to B-horror movies that Rodriguez and Tarantino clearly love. But the first half of the movie, where you have no idea what kind of weird shit's about to go down, it's a legit hard-nosed crime story. Like, you could easily watch a whole movie about the Gecko brothers running from the law. Richard is suffering a massive mental breakdown, and that would have been enough. And that movie would have been a serious look into desperation while being hunted like animals. And that probably would have been awesome. And probably would have ended with Seth killing his brother, and then dying in a shootout with the police trying to get away. But man, did this movie take a fucking left turn. And it's amazing. But it's hard not to wonder if they needed a supernatural second half of this film at all. But it is what it is. For years I actually thought Tarantino directed this movie, mostly because of the monologuing. I mean, it's very, very Tarantino.
Boy, I was working the grill, and then that fucking idiot does no rat shit from Rice Krispies. I eat breakfast about 9 o'clock, and I'm puking up pigs in a blanket like a sick fucking dog by 10:30.
Isn't there a law or something against retards serving food to the public?
Well, there ain't ought to be. I mean, who in the hell knows what's going on in the mind of a goddamn mongoloid? Nadine should have hit that boy in the head and sold the fucking milk.
Yeah,
You could
can you
sue
hurry
the
up?
shit out of her, you know that?
Yeah, here we go.
That
Just
kid
get to
belongs
the
under a
point,
circus
please.
tent, not flipping burgers. You could own that fucking place.
Shit, Pete. What would I do with that grease pit? Sad. Nadine's got her cross to bear. I need to take care of that potato head. I guess you heard about that shit up in Abilene. Bank robbery.
I saw it's been on the box all day. It killed some people, didn't it?
Yeah. Killed 4 Rangers.
But he did write it, but decided not to direct it because he wanted to focus on the acting side of the movie. But you feel the Tarantino-ness all over this bitch.
Now I don't have time to fuck around, so I'm gonna make this simple. You take your kids and you get in that motor home, or I will execute all 3 of you right now. So what's it gonna be? Yes or no answer? Hey, your old man's all right. He just saved your life.
So now let's talk about the cast and characters of this movie. George Clooney plays Seth Gecko, a dangerous criminal who for the most part just wants to rob and steal, like the good guy that he is. But he has no problem killing if he has to. He's the older of the 2 Gecko brothers and clearly the more sane of the 2. And Clooney, he's someone whose movies I don't really watch, but man, I wish he could have played this character in every movie he's in. If you never watched the movie before, you're gonna have a hard time knowing where you stand with this guy because he's unpredictable, and he's definitely untrustworthy. And you know what he's capable of. Also, the only thing he seems scared of is, the law. And maybe his wife, who's never seen on screen but is mentioned once. And honestly, that's kind of why I wish they followed the thread of them escaping from the cops the whole movie. Because he's forced to become somewhat heroic in the second half of the film. But we'll never know, like, would he have eventually killed Richie if they kept going the way he did? Or would he have actually hurt the Fuller family? I mean, these are the kind of questions I kind of ask myself, but it's not really important. But the vampire biker bar thing it's pretty hard to pass up too, and I think they made the right choice in the end.
Do you understand that? Do you just say fucking yes? Say yes, Seth, I understand.
Yes, Seth, I
Say it.
understand.
Say yes, Seth, I fucking understand.
I understand, Seth. I fucking understand.
Get to Mexico and it's gonna be sweet rosemary.
Next we have Quentin Tarantino, who plays Richard Gecko, a mentally disturbed pervert that Tarantino plays with little effort for some reason. I mean, I don't know why, but yeah.
Richie, would you do me a favor and eat my pussy for me, please?
Sure.
Richie, hey.
Nothing weird there. Of the 2 brothers, he is by far the most dangerous. He broke his brother out of prison and kills more than a few people along the way. And like most people who have no problem killing cops for a prison break, Richard is losing his grasp on reality. And his actions clearly back that up. I mean, breaking your brother out of prison, while a nice thing to do, and really ballsy, it's not something that someone would do unless, they're a little fucked in the head. Or maybe in a Fast and Furious movie. Somehow Seth does seem to have some control over Richie. But if this movie didn't eventually go off the deep end in like crazy Vampireville, Seth probably would have had to kill Richard at some point. At least that's my 2 cents. If he's my brother, I probably would have ditched him at Six Flags or something. I mean, how can you trust a guy who could kill you at any moment because he has delusional conversations that didn't actually happen, except in his fucked up mind?
Richard, what's wrong with you?
Before you flip out, okay, let me just explain what happened, all right?
Explain it to me. I need an explanation. What is the matter with you?
There's nothing wrong with me, brother. That woman tried to escape, and I did what I had to do.
No, the woman wouldn't have said shit if she had a mouthful of it.
Wrong, wrong, wrong. After you left, she became a completely different person.
Yeah. Is it me?
Like, for all I know, he could think I'm like an informant for the FBI at some point, or, that I'm Santa Claus and I'm gonna do weird stuff with his mom. Like, I don't know. I'm already on the run. I don't need my crazy brother slowing me down. But every crew does need a wild card.
Wild card, bitches!
Then we come to the MVP of the film, Harvey Keitel, who plays Jacob Fuller. A former minister has lost faith after his wife died in a car accident. He has 2 children, Kate and Scott, who are typical teens who act the way kids would act in the situation they're about to be put in. So I'm gonna skip them. But Jacob, man, him and Seth are perfect together. Obviously Jacob is scared for himself and his family, because they're taken hostage by the Gecko brothers. But also he has balls, and he gets in Seth's face on more than one occasion.
Look, if you want the motorhome, just take it and get out.
It's not gonna be that easy, Pops. We're gonna go on a little ride.
Not a chance.
Come again?
If you're taking people, take me. But my kids aren't going anywhere with you.
Sorry, Pops.
He's even able to reason with them, which is surprising given Seth's very, very poor impulse control. And besides, Harvey Keitel is awesome. He knew the assignment and he delivered perfectly.
Such a fucking loser. You can't tell when you've won.
What'd you call me?
Nothing. I didn't make a statement. I asked a question. Would you like me to ask it again?
Mm-hmm.
Are you such a loser? You can't tell when you've won?
This movie is excellent. A movie that most people have probably heard of, but only film nerds and Tarantino fans, which happen to be the same people, have actually watched this movie. It's an early indie film from a pretty awesome director, Robert Rodriguez. This guy used to make a crap ton of good movies, but it feels like it's been a while since he's made a good one. Maybe that's just me. And on another note, what's happening with Tarantino? I know he stopped making what was supposed to be his last movie. Does that mean he's not ever going to make his last movie? Is he done now? I still haven't watched the one about Charles Manson he did. That people keep telling me isn't really even about Charles Manson for some reason. So to wrap this video up, I think this movie is the perfect Saturday night movie. I'm not sure it's for everyone, but I know it appeals to a certain audience. And if you want to impress the guy who used to work at your Blockbuster in the 90s, this is a must watch. Me personally, I'm not the kind of person who will watch a bad cheesy movie, but Tarantino and Rodriguez have done this genre pretty well over the years. And besides, the first half of the movie is, even for the most serious-minded movie watcher, just based on the performances alone, it's worth watching. So if you like a violent, funny, badass movie with some great performances and some very quotable lines, then From Dusk Till Dawn is probably for you. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.